Welcome to the 2013 Federation of Genealogical Societies Fort Wayne Conference, Journey Through Generations. I am Eric Basir from Evanston, Illinois. This is session S-419, S as in Sierra 419. It is being recorded. Title is Scanning 101. Syllabus material begins on page 457. My speaker biography is on page Roman numeral 3-2 of the conference guide. Please silence all electronic devices and please refer to the recording, social media, copyright, and photography policies in the front of the syllabus and the conference guide. Thank you. So how's everybody doing today? Good. It's always nice to wake up in the morning and be present. Not everyone can do that. Let's do a quick survey. How many of you in the audience, raise your hand, have an Epson flatbed scanner? I'll raise my hand. Good. How many of you have a HP flatbed scanner? A little more than half. And how many of you have a Canon flatbed scanner? Now, how many of you all have a dedicated slide scanner? It's a scanner that just scans film in slides. And of those dedicated slide scanners, how many of them are Nikon? Good. All right, the people with Nikon dedicated scanners, you have a now obsolete but perfectly usable tool, piece of hardware. In fact, it's very good. Nikon made the best film scanners, in my opinion, ever. Too bad they're not doing it anymore, but I can understand. They just don't make a lot of money with it. But if you have a Nikon film scanner, take good care of it because it's going to be hard to replace it. Now, I will jump right into my scanner discussion. The most important thing when it comes to your flatbed scanners, thank you very much, sir. Thank you. I'll please stay right there. All right. Epson is my personal favorite. HP is my second favorite. When it comes to especially a flatbed scanner, the dedicated type units is what I'm talking about. So a flatbed or a slide scanner, such as I was discussing with the Nikon. Some of you all had dedicated slide scanners. You had different brands. You can blurt it out. Which brands did you have?
Microtech.
Microtech. A Microtech slide scanner.
No. Flatbed.
Oh, flatbed. Yeah, Microtech. I actually have a workhorse Microtech. Microtech is really good too, but again, they're not making new products, so I don't recommend them anymore. But yeah, that's really good. All-in-ones are nice for doing, and when I say all-in-one, I'm talking about a scanner, printer, fax machine type setup. These are great for scanning in documents, getting quick scans, making quick copies, making faxes, that kind of thing. I have an HP 8600 that I use for office work and personal work, but I do not use it for my photos. We'll get into that in a moment. Portability. So can you carry it with you? You know, this is what I mean by portability. There's something out there too called the Flip Pal. That's a very portable scanner, a dedicated scanner. Now, the next helpful things that are not as important but on the next level in priority is lid removal. And what that means is can I take the lid off to scan a bigger document or book or something, or can I adjust it? Like this one lets you pull it up, but it doesn't let you remove it. The more expensive you get with a flatbed scanner, the more versatile it is. I know with the Microtech scanners, it's real nice. You could just pop the lid off, and you could sit on the thing if you wanted. I don't recommend that, but The other thing you want with a flatbed scanner is a transparency tray or a separate bulb for transparencies. And what I mean by transparencies, I'm talking about negatives, slides. Negatives and slides. These are transparencies. You can see through them. They're transparent. All right, they're not reflective. They're not prints. They're not documents. These, generally, this one has a dedicated unit right in here. The newer ones, the V500, have a even better looking one, but it generally works the same. The flatbed portion of the scanner, where you scan reflective or, like I said, prints or documents, that'll be here. You really don't want something that says, okay, you can also scan negatives on or transparencies on the same side. You want it to scan negatives on a separate area, because what happens is the bulb is further away and the image is not as sharp. This one, for example, has a little place you can slide in the negative. I hope we might have time to actually do one of those. But Epson is just fantastic when it comes to the quality. If you do get a bigger Epson than this, a more expensive one, this is more like $100 or less dollars. But if you're going up in the couple hundred range, they'll be able to scan 8x10 net transparencies, negatives, even glass. And these are worth it if you believe you're going to run into these kinds of originals. And the last part, it is really cool if you can do it, and Microtech was great for offering that, is if you can remove the glass. If you could actually take the glass off and wash it on both sides, clean it on both sides. Unfortunately, they're not like that. Most of them are not like that. You actually have to take the back off in order to clean the other side of the glass. And why would I have to clean the other side of the glass, Eric? There's no dust in there. So take a look when the bulb is on sometime, and you'll see the bulb move, and you'll see what looks like maybe a little sheen or some type of little gassing effect on the other side. And this is what happens with petroleum products. Plastic off gases. It actually degrades. It is made of an organic substance, albeit it takes forever to decompose in the environment, but it does decompose, and those gases go up to the glass. So it is nice if you can clean both sides of the glass. And it's something to be conscious of. You might have to unscrew the back and do that kind of thing. I'm giving you the minutia of flatbed scanner maintenance in detail, but I wanted to put that out there. When it comes to purchasing, there's a couple things I want you to keep in mind. That no entry-level flatbed scanner has yet been able to capture the quality of a dedicated slide scanner, especially like the Nikon CoolScan series. I think that's going to change in the next couple of years. I'm pretty sure of that. But Epson does a fantastic job. I hope they never stop supporting, negatives or transparencies. Another thing is keeping the surface clean. So not only do I mean of smudges, but I mean of scrapes. And you can do this with tin types, you can do this with glass. You wouldn't believe how easy it is to scratch glass, these things. It's just, how did that get there? That's how easy it is. You didn't know how you did it. So you want to be careful, because sometimes what happens is you put an original here and you figure, well, the front is clean, the glass is clean, but on the back of the original might be, who knows, a little stone, something hard. And what happens is when you lift this up, it sticks to it. And then when you close it, there you go. And maybe that's how your scratch appeared. Hopefully your scratch will not appear in the middle, it'll just be on the edge. But those scratches do show up, and it is kind of annoying to have to clean that up all the time. The third part is when you have your scanner, this will require a test. And it's what I call the sweet spot. So what does that mean? That means every scanner, and this even changes slightly within the same models. Every scanner has an area on the glass that has more detail than other areas. So you want to know where to put your print. So if I have, I'm going to go over here and get one of these originals. And typically, where do you place it? Raise your hand. Where do you place a print like this on your flatbed?
In your corner.
In the corner, right? We follow the rules of Xerox copies, right? Yeah.
Keeps it
All right.
square.
What's that?
It keeps it square.
It keeps it square. So typically that's what we do. Unfortunately, the edge of your scanners actually gets less detail than in the middle. And I'll show you. And this is how we do it. It's relatively simple. And this will require the use of a program such as Photoshop Elements or PaintShop Pro to do this test. So we're going to call it the sweet spot test. It's not on the handout as is. So I'm going to go through it step by step, and you can keep up with it. I want you to actually write down what I'm doing. What other programs? Almost anything, as long as you have an ability to make, to adjust the contrast of an image, it should work out fine. So here, I will do a preview, and what I'm doing is I'm just scanning the bed without an original. There's nothing on it. It should be clean. And move this over a little bit. And with the Epson, or with any scanner, you set the boundary of what you want scanned right there. And I want it to scan the whole bed. And I'm just going to scan. I'm not making any changes. I will go through the settings later. I'll explain that later. Let's hit scan. And I will make a FGS 2013 as my prefix. We're going to start at number 1. And I will show you. Don't worry about doing that right now. I'll tell you when to start keeping track. So it will scan. And while it does that, it will go on to here. And don't worry, it's blank on my screen too. Okay, oh, it's done, all right. Thank you, Mr. Epson. Now I'm in Photoshop Elements. I will open it within Elements. Now, so open up your blank scan. That's the first step. Open up your blank scan. And there it is. Isn't that a beautiful picture? Then we go to Enhance, Adjust Lighting, Levels. Enhance, Adjust Lighting, Levels. Now if you have Photoshop, anyone here have Photoshop, the big expensive one, that'll be under Image Adjust Levels. If you have PaintShop Pro, it might be something a little different, but they'll call it levels. If you have GIMP, they'll call it levels too. But it's found in a different area, so you're gonna have to look in the help menu. What I do over here, I zoom in so you can see, is I have these triangles. So what I'll do is I'll bring the black one all the way in, past the mountain. Now click OK. I zoom out. Oops, wrong way. Now, this is the contrast range shrunk. I shrunk the range of the contrast, and what you're seeing in this area, if I can use my pointer here, let me see it. You can see this pointer here moving around. Can you see that? Let's try to make a big pointer. Let me try to make a big brush. Can you see that circle? Okay, look at this area where you see the white. This is where we can get the most image detail. But when we go off here, we have less. Now this is a combination of not having a lot of pressure on, pressing the back to the glass, but it's also a fault in flatbed scanners. And it's not a big fault, you just get around it, but I just wanted to show you. This, I would not want to put it in the corner, because the corner, we're going to have fall off over here. And this really shows up in professional portraits that have dark backgrounds. you'll see a weird color shift. Down here, no. So what we want to, when we scan, you're going to find this in any scanner. When we scan, we actually want to scan in the middle range. We don't want to put our image against the corner. So how do we do it? We had, some of y'all said, well, we do it so it'll be square. It'll be square. We want that to be square. How do you get around that? So what we do is take our image here, and we place it what we think is in the middle, and then we take something else that's square. All right, so I'll take out of my pocket here, I'll have a business card. All right, now if I run out of business cards at the table there, which it looks like I'm about to, please come to my table at 221. I have booth 221, and I'd love to see you there. So I take this business card here, and I put it at the top edge of my frame, and then I put my image, my print right there. I'll show you how it looks now on screen. Now this is like, really simple stuff, but this is scanning 101. So I want to give you something simple you can use so that you get the most image detail. And I'm a stickler for image detail because I'm a photo retoucher for a living. I mean, I do this for a living. This isn't a hobby. It really isn't a hobby. I mean, it's fun. I was born to do it, I believe. But see what I did? So look, when I bring the crop box here, look, it's pretty square, right? Because my business card is there. Get it? Do you understand? Anyone not follow me? Anyone totally confused? Okay. So you didn't follow. So please tell me where I lost you. Oh, you can't see it. You can't. You're like, where's the business card, Eric?
Yeah, where's the business card?
It's really hard to see it.
White side down.
Do you see up here this little border? And yes, I put the white side down because I just don't want it picking up anything that's erratic. Thank you. Sorry for that.
So you have the business card and the photo scanned together. I didn't realize.
And do you see, let's see, do you see that the card is right up against the edge?
Yeah.
You see that?
Using it as an edge.
You see that?
Yeah.
All right, so that's a neat little thing. And I have on my scanner actually a piece of masking tape there so it's permanent, because I just know I'll never scan, so I can let it get gooey right there. But I just know that I have that tape, so I know that I always rest my images against that, So you don't have to do that. Any questions on that? All right. Now, let's just finish this silly PowerPoint. And we found the sweet spot. So again, before we start any scanning session, we want to clean the surface. So we can take the Windex, open the bottle, pour it on the glass, and wipe. I just saw someone go like this. Like, I just wanted to get a crowd reaction and kind of wake y'all up a little bit, because I know how you feel. No. So what do you do? Do I spray the surface and then wipe it?
No.
What should I do?
Spray the cloth.
Spray the cloth and then wipe it, right? And wipe it really good, so there's no residue. I scan artwork as well. I make artwork, and sometimes I do crayon. And when I use crayon, I really build up the wax. And of course, I scan them, and then I color correct them, and then I sell them online. And sometimes the crayon sticks, so it takes some work. So be aware that you don't want to use anything abrasive when you're cleaning. Definitely don't do that. All right. Now, when we scan, we want to turn off filters. And what I mean by that, by turning off filters, is every scanner software has abilities to sharpen your image. Don't sharpen your image in the scanner. That's a sharpening filter. Don't do that. Only if you have to sharpen, which I don't even recommend. Even in my course, which is at my booth, you'll see I don't even really teach sharpening in it, because sharpening doesn't really sharpen the image. It just builds up the contrast between light and dark pixels, giving you the illusion of sharpening that it happened. And really what it does tend to do is eliminate detail in the shadow areas of your images. When we do scan something that's published, we will use what's called a D-screen filter. The other part is we want to scan big. Now here's, listen. Scan big, and I have this down on, thought I had it here. Nope. All right, so so much for updating this like I should have. So you got to write this down, right? So I want you to scan big. That means a minimum of 300 pixels per inch. Some call it DPI, PPI, whatever. Same thing for us. 300 pixels per inch at 100% size or larger. And I'm going to show you, we're actually going to do that with some scans. And if you think, I don't need it that big, I only need to email it, well, yeah, scan it big and then shrink it in your photo editor and save as a copy. And send that smaller version, or upload that smaller version, because you don't want to upload a giant 300 pixel per inch 8x10 to your blog. Generally, unless there's 200 people in the picture and you want people to be able to zoom in and look at it. And you have to save as a TIFF. All your scans should be saved as TIFF from here on. Is there anyone disagree with me? Okay, so everyone raise your hand if you're saving as TIFF with your scans. Good. Raise your hand if you're saving as JPEGs. Okay, that's a few too many. So after today, I've converted you to the religion of TIFF. And you have to obey or you might go to hell. So I want you to try your best to scan as TIFF. Now what about this FlipPal? Okay, the FlipPal scanner, only saves as JPEG, and it gives you a choice of 300 or 600 pixels per inch. I recommend that you always do 600, no matter what, with the FlipPal. I don't care what you say. Please do it. They should give you a choice, but they don't. It's file format, and that is unfortunate. It's very unfortunate, especially, you're selling to genealogists, so it really irks me. The other part is they have stitching software, right? And it will you'll scan your map, you'll scan your big portrait, and then you run it through the stitching software, which is fantastic. I mean, their stitching software is better than Adobe's photo merge function. But it downsamples it from 600 to 300. So you have to save your source images. The images that you're stitching with FlipPal, you have to save those. Please save those. Because the stitching software cuts the resolution in half to stitch it. Now their explanation is that, well, there's memory constraints and we're concerned about people's memory in their... Well, you got to overcome that. They need to overcome that, not you. And they need to fix that before they keep selling it to people. Or they need to tell you this is what it's doing. Keep your source files. So from here on, I want you to keep those source files. Any questions on what I just said? Yes, sir.
You're talking about scanning images, right? For general text use, you don't want to shade big TIFF files, right?
Okay, so for text use, should I save it as, can I get away, if I'm just scanning text, can I get away with scanning
Lower resolution.
Lower resolution or TIFF? Just keep in mind, file format and resolution are two different things. Okay, resolution is pixels per inch dimensions. Image size is pixels per inch in dimensions. File format is compression, making the file smaller. So you should always save as a TIFF. And if it's a document like this one, which we're going to scan, you have to do it at a large size because of the small text. And if you do it as a JPEG, it will create what's called artifacts. All right. So, you know what we're gonna do, because I actually have a perfect example here. So let's just jump ahead here. I'm gonna work on this naturalization document. And on the back, I actually talk about it a little bit. I make some suggestions. Now I'll place this right here, this naturalization, and it doesn't matter, it's just a document. It doesn't matter if it's naturalization of birth or death, but we're going to check our settings. Now let's go over these settings real quick. Resolution should be 100 pixels per inch, right?
For documents, no.
For everything, it should be at least 300, right? That's what I was saying before. So I don't know why this was at 100, but I was maybe experimenting or something. But then we have scale. In Epson, they call it scale. Other software, they may call it zoom or enlarging, all right? I like to do a little more, 150, 200. Today, we're not going to do that because I don't want to be here forever while the thing scans, all right? I talked about filters earlier. Oh, lo and behold, the unsharp mask filter, the sharpening filter's on. Do I want to leave that on? No. If I want to sharpen something, I'll do it myself. Thank you. That's what we want to tell the computer. It's just trying to be helpful. Descreening, we don't need that right now. Descreening is just for images that have been printed by an offset press. Offset press is your typical book magazine printing, where the images are actually made up of dots, not a continuous tone image. Now we click Scan. And I choose my folder, which is nice about Epson. I can tell the Epson scanner, excuse me, this only works in professional mode. Let me just show you that real quick. Those of you with Epson scanners, all you have to do is look at the top right corner, make sure it's in professional mode. Because if you're in the other two modes, it won't show up like this. And professional, don't let that intimidate you. It just means more control. Think of it that way. Hit scan. I choose my folder, and I give it a prefix. So I could say, let's say I had a whole bunch of images or documents from a particular family or a particular era, I can put that prefix in there. For today, we're just going to do FGS 2013. And start number is 002. Why do you think it says 002 instead of 001? Because the first one we did, right? Remember? So that's what it's doing. But, you know, I just want to show you. Now, image format. I should go JPEG, right?
Nope.
Oh, very good. I should make it TIFF. All right, TIFF. And then they have something called print image matching TIFF. And just give me a TIFF. I want a plain hamburger, even though I don't eat meat, but you know what I mean. All right, so we hit OK. And it's going to scan this document. And I want to show you. So let me take a question while it's scanning. Yes, sir.
You said 300 DPI minimum. I mean,
yes.
Hard drive space is pretty cheap these days. Is there any maximum beyond which there's no benefit? I don't know, 600, 1200?
Is there a max? Right. So is there a maximum? Can I max it out to 10 billion pixels per inch? Yes, there is a maximum. So when you buy your scanner, for example, mine says 4800 by 9600 DPI. They all love to give you this huge resolution. All you do is you take that number, that 4800. You know what they sell it to you as? They say, yeah, they give you huge pixel dimensions. That's here and here, right? Take the short side, the 4800, and divide it by 4. So what is that? 1200. So that means after 1200, the scanner is just making up stuff. And you're just getting a bigger, fatter file. The 1200, by the way, is crucial when you're maxing out the resolution is crucial for negatives that are 35 millimeter. Why? Why do I have to max out the resolution for a 35 millimeter? Because it's so small. The original is so small.
And you're going to blow it.
And well, maybe I'll blow it up, but the whole point is I want to be able to see it. That's the point.
Is that true for slides as well?
Yeah, 30, it's the size. Think of it as a slide and a negative. They're just small images, that's all. They're just teeny tiny images that you need to see. So this naturalization paper, we don't need to see that at 1200 PPI. Trust me. We get 600 is sufficient for that. But let's open it up. So let's open that paper up. And
You left your marquee set down for the first picture.
all right, what did I do? See, I want to show you all a mistake, and you might make this as well. It's like, dang, that's not it. So look at here. I didn't do a preview. First of all, I didn't do a preview. I'm way ahead of myself. And so it's saying, oh, it's thinking the little boys there with the business card. So I got to do the preview. All right, any questions? Thank you very much for the correction. All right, so any other questions? All right, now here's the marquee. Let's adjust it, Eric. I'm trying to drive away with the car, and I'm like, there's no keys, and I'm pressing the gas pedal, and man, this thing isn't moving. So start number 3. Go ahead, give me number 3. All right, time remaining 3 minutes, and that's fine.
Do you happen to sell hard drives, by the way?
Do I happen to sell hard drives? No.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm telling you to make all these big images, and yeah, I see what you're coming from.
You're burning up a lot of bits.
Yeah, but you know, I think it's worth it. I think it is. Yes, sir, in the back.
If time isn't of importance to you, does it matter that you're marking it down, you know?
Making the marquee, does time matter? Does it matter that I do it?
You can do it in Photoshop.
I think if you want it to be the full image, no, especially if it's large. But if it's a small little thing, that makes a difference. If it was like this, like this picture here, if I'm gonna let the marquee do the whole bed, like you were saying, that's gonna add up. That's gonna take a little more time. I might as well bring the marquee down to him.
But for quality and all this, you push the button, you walk away from it.
Well, no. If you're just gonna push the button and walk away, and you might come back in 10, 20 minutes, it won't make a difference. But then if you're gonna do that, maybe consider putting a bunch of prints on there, setting an individual marquee for each one, which we might get time to do. All right, so anyways, here is our correct document. So I'm gonna open that, and we will rotate this so that we're not like turning our heads looking at the screen. And I want to zoom in. All right, so we're at 200% or so right here, and we see it's kind of, your screen is darker so you don't get to see as many details. So let me go to her picture. You can see some more subtle details. This is pretty good, all right? Now, I want to open something here and help you. How many of you own a Flip Pal? It's quite a few, all right. It's quite a few. All right, so I just want to go over that real quick, show you something here. I have, Flip Pal's a little tiny scanner that you can carry with you.
Oh, okay.
It's very portable, very portable. All right. So here is a 600 PPI scan from the Flip Pal at 100% magnification. I'm going to go in a little closer. We're at 200%. Here is my scan with the Epson just at 300. Let me go back to Epson. Get a little closer. All right. So this is my Epson scan at 300. This is the Flip Pal at 600. And it's very hard to tell from the screen. You'd have to come up here and look at my monitor. But there are JPEG artifacts there are squares. That's JPEG artifacts. Little odd colored squares inside the dark areas. It's impossible to see from here. All right. That's because it's a JPEG. JPEG averages out colors, makes it file size smaller. That's all it's doing. All right? We have much more detail in it, although it's pixelated because the resolution is lower. Now, if I did 600 pixels per inch, which would have taken a little bit longer, it'd look even better. Now, here is when the FlipPal runs its stitching software. So here's I did reside. Let me get to the word reside here so that we can residing. Good. But residing, let me zoom in so we're just looking at the same thing. All right, this is 300%, 400%. Now we're at 300%, 400%. All right, now this is the 600 PPI scan with the FlipPal. This is the stitching. This is very subtle, I know, but this is, I can just zoom out, just to be fair. Let me just zoom out to 3. No, 4 is fine. So here's the stitched one. Look at the lines, see the pixels in the sharp, thin lines. And look at the pixels here, they're less jagged. They're less jagged, okay? So I know you're thinking, well, this is subtle detail and it's very useful, and I totally agree. But I just want to kind of demonstrate to you why you need, just in case, to keep those. Because this is nice handwriting. This is nice typeface. It's not even handwriting, it's a typeface. It's very legible. Well, some of y'all have documents like this that are not legible or easily, you need every bit of detail you can get. So until they fix the problem, or whatever, or start telling you what it really is about, please keep your source images. Please. Let's go to a newsprint original. This is a picture of Martin Luther King and his family. And it's a real nice portrait. It's perfect because it's kind of vintage, you know, 1960s. And it's a good photograph, but it's printed in a newspaper. Let's go to our Epson scan. We'll go to preview. Any questions? Yes?
How do you feel about Picasa?
Picasa, you're using that online? Like Google? Yeah, Picasa's, I'm not too familiar with it, you know, but if it works for you, fine, if you're able to control these things, but I don't know, I can't say much. Like I say, Elements is really good, and Adobe's not making you subscribe to it, you know, so I always recommend it, and it's very affordable. So here I am bringing in the crop marks, okay? Now I want to do a scan. I'm not going to do any filter. Scale 100%, and click OK. And then I'm going to scan with the filter. Go ahead.
You're at 300 dpi again?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Any questions? Yes.
Eric, you might want to comment also with the JPEG versus TIFF. I work with the Historical Society, and we're getting a lot of people coming in and asking for copies of a print that was originally made. The TIFF files hold up, the JPEG files deteriorate when you reprint over and over again.
Well, let's, you know, I didn't get into the details of why not JPEG. So, quite simply, every time you open a JPEG, work on it, close it, save it, it degrades. It recompresses itself. It just wants to make itself smaller and smaller. No matter what quality setting you have, every time you do that. Now, if you pass it along and you're not working on it, and that's all you have is JPEG originals, well, that's fine. But if you're going to work on it, you've got to save it as a TIFF. Then work on that, because then you won't get recompression happening. Do you follow me? Anyone not follow me on that? I do want to be clear on that, especially. We have actually, yes, ma'am.
That's a black and white image, but you're supposed to scan it in color, right? Or doesn't it matter?
Thank you for bringing that up. And I did mention that in here. I did mention if you look at letter A, part 2 on the first page, single photos, always scan in color. I always scan, see, I'm going ahead of myself and leaving out very important things that, please forgive me. Always save in color, scan in color, because you get 3 channels of information and you get more detail. And I hope to demonstrate that here. First, let's now let's try a descreening filter. Well, first, let me just show you what this image looks like without the descreening filter, so you can see the problem. So desktop. I will rotate because I see your heads turning already, and I don't want you getting headaches. Look as I go in. You see these weird blocks? That's not JPEG artifacting like I was showing. You see these weird like here there's no lines across Coretta Scott King's blouse. But then you zoom in, then there's these lines. You notice that? And now they're gone. Now they look kind of odd. And now you see weird distortions going on. Let's turn on the descreening filter right over here. And we choose descreen. And even most scanner brands have this. And I choose newspaper because that's what it is. And I'll tell it to scan this. What it's going to do, it's going to run the bulb this way and go back, this way and go back, this way and go back. And eventually, after doing that, it actually slightly blurs the image in a methodical fashion. And what will happen is we'll lose this pattern. And this pattern that you're seeing is known as moire, okay? And moire is what happens when you have halftone dots scanned and it just doesn't interpret them right. It's the same thing if you ever seen a person with a very plaid type jacket or something on video. And it's like, it's weird. You see these weird patterns like orange and purple show up. It's just digital cannot interpret these patterns, intricate patterns easily. Yes, sir?
And those 2 settings are only available in professional mode in FGS?
I believe so. I'm going to continue to home mode. Descreening, but you can't customize it. You have descreening in home mode. Full auto mode, no.
Right.
But professional mode, you have descreening. Now there was someone who had their hand up who I didn't address. Yes.
Do you use the descreen if you're scanning an image that was originally from a newspaper that has gone through, say, being microfilmed or photocopied by the time you get it?
Yeah. Okay, so here you have an original. I'm sorry, you have an image, a print.
Yeah.
You have a print, and this is a print. It was actually made from, they actually scanned it, newspaper for example, made a file, and then they printed that file out and gave it to you. And you see the moire, you see the pattern.
Yeah.
Will the descreening filter work on that? It might. It might. It might. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So let's rotate this and compare real quick. So here we're zooming in, look at her blouse. See? It stays consistent. Now that's 200%. So here's at 100%. Here's it. So here she is. Oh, sorry. You see the difference? So here,
Way to go.
I rotated that a little too much. So there, you see the difference? So that's what the descreening is useful for. I like that. Yes, ma'am.
I was told that you should put black paper on the newspaper so that you don't get the
Yeah.
green or the.
Right. So if you have, you know, this, let's see, their image, we're kind of lucky. There's not a lot of image behind their image. But what if there's big text back here and it shows up, like see her collar? There might be a letter that shows up through there. You can help reduce that by, when you put it down, putting on a black piece of paper. Because the back of my particular scanner is white. some scanner backs are black. Got it? So that can be useful. Thank you.
Would you use white if you have a white background?
As long as the text is not bleeding through and you can't see it in the image, scan it. But if you start seeing text from the other side of the paper coming through, then try with the black. Does that answer your question? No? Not quite? You're still looking at me like you're not sure. It's kind of hard. That's another one where I'm trying to talk about something that I should be showing you. Let's go to a color. Any questions, though? Yes.
So if you're scanning a newspaper article that has a photo in it, do you still do the descreening?
Yeah, because...
Will it degrade the print is what I meant.
Well, take a look here. Let's see. Hopefully... So look at the print here. I mean, I didn't get it all, but it's not bad. I mean, it has blurred it slightly, but it'll still be there. It'll still be legible. But make sure your resolution is high enough. Make sure you're at least 300 pixels per inch. Let's just do something. How about I just show you a neat thing about scanning multiple photos at the same time? How's that?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So let's do that, and I'll get my glove here, and I'll grab this one and grab this one. We will follow the same concept, and if you're never sure where the top is on your scanner, I used a permanent marker and wrote like a little stick figure at the top so I know the head goes down here and the feet go down here on the scanner, So, where's my card? It's okay. I put it somewhere. Oh, and then I have another one. So I'll just stack them. Yeah, this is a nice combo because some are color, some are black and white. Yeah, you get a little more detail. It's subtle. You get a little more detail when you scan a black and white image in color. You do. It does. It's hard sometimes to see, but I like to tell you how to get the best quality. All right. So turn off that D screen. Let's do preview. Okay. Any questions?
Did you want to change the newspaper back to regular? Your screen ruling?
It's off.
It's off.
Well, actually, if you look, the de-screening filter is unchecked. So that will have no
That's
effect.
part of the, okay, that's part of the description.
That will have no effect, but thank you. Didn't want to make a fool out of myself here, again. You know what? I'm going to tear up his beautiful booklet if I do it like this. So let's just...
When you're going through an OCR process on the image that you're going to create, you don't care about anything but the highest possible quality image.
So I'm going to run, I have a document that I scanned, right? And I saved it as a PDF, and I run it through optical character recognition software so that it can read the text. So my text will be searchable, right? So I want it...
The PDF is...
But I have to repeat...
Depends on what the OCR is capable of doing. But okay.
But the higher the resolution, the better. Because you want it to read the letters.
Okay, and you don't want to go black because that means some consolidation of the image happens.
As far as grayscale, you don't want to scan it as grayscale. You're saying...
Yeah, you don't want to go grayscale or black and white.
You can get away with it if it's just black text on white paper. But if it's a document like that naturalization, there's actually detail in the colors. But if it's a copy here, it's just black ink. It might make a slight difference.
So you're best to go with color and
Yeah.
the high resolution.
I say go with color, high res all the time. That's it. Just
And
start
is it-
out that way.
And does the PDF has no advantage, some disadvantages from a TF?
The PDF will compress the images slightly. You will have image quality degradation.
So if your OCR software can
Generally.
handle TIFF, do it that way.
Yeah, yeah. And it'll still have to save it as a PDF though. You understand? If you run OCR through with a TIFF, in order to make it searchable, you're gonna have to save it as a PDF. You understand? You can't ever make it. The purpose of OCR is to make sure that your text can be searchable. That's the purpose of it. And it has to be a PDF. But start as a TIFF, you know? Hold on back there. I just want to go over this and then I'll take your question. Just wave again when I look up. All right, so I do my first boundary, my first marquee around him. Then what I do with Epson, other printers are a little different. But with Epson, I just click and drag here.
Did you have to say up front that you're batch scanning?
This would be a batch scan.
I mean, is there some button you
No.
click that says that?
No,
Okay.
there's no batch scanning button. You just go right in and do it yourself using these marquees. And I take here. And now look, well, the plane's upside down on that one. All right? Now, the thing with this is I have to go through each one. So I know this one, we're going to scale it, let's say 200%, although I'm not going to do that for time's sake. I check my resolution, that's good. Now when I click on his picture, I check my resolution, because each one's different, could be different. Let's say I wanted his to be, actually let's just take the little boy and let's just increase his scale. I want y'all to see that. Let's say I increase it to 125, just arbitrary number for demonstration purposes. Notice when I click on the gentleman here, the scale is 100%. That's because by default, it goes to the last setting that you had set. So I say, well, I actually want his to be 200%, so then you have to change that. I look at the plane. The plane here, we'll make the scale 150. This looks like a bomber. And 300, 300. Now what I have to do is I click, shift click, shift click. Now all three of them are being got marching ants. And I click scan. And then I click OK. And now I can go, you know, eat lunch or whatever. And it'll scan all three of these images by itself at the settings that I gave it. And now let's say I had a newspaper image in there too. I could have made one of those to be descreened, and it would descreen that one, but not descreen the others. I see a little confusion. Sorry, so please ask. We had a question in the back though that I asked him.
A simple one.
Yeah.
Now, are you using? Are you just using the Epson software, or
Yes.
are you using Photoshop or?
Okay,
Scan?
good question. Every scanner needs its own software in order to talk to your computer. That's called a driver or a software, whatever. I'm using Epson, right? There's third-party ones I could get, like ViewScan, which is really nice. But I use Epson. Then I was editing the picture or displaying the picture to you, you know, rotating it and all that stuff. I was doing that in Elements. All right, now look at this. All three images are scanned, right?
Separate files?
Yep.
They're separate files. Separate files. And by the way, they have similar names. They have the same prefix, but they have a different number. So here's this cute little boy here, right? Look how good he looks. He's nice and sharp, nice teeth, right? And here's this cute little giant thing. And now we would rotate it, right? And here's this handsome man here hanging out on the trees. All right? That happens to be my dad too. He looks really he's got more hair though. How did he do that? No, actually
It's your mother's fault.
I've heard that. But actually he's like this too, right? Because he shaves. I said, I'm gonna shave just like you. I don't want to deal with little bits here. But anyways, there's something useful there. Now the negative, which unfortunately we don't have time to do, but you would apply it the same way. All right? And the negative just goes in a little holder and you're done.
When you selected the images on the platen,
Yes.
the Control Select as well as the Shift Select work the same way as all Microsoft products.
So let's see, like this, let me try if I do control.
You just get.
No,
you're-
I have to do shift.
Okay.
You'd have to do shift on your PC as well. It won't be control.
You
It's
can't
shift.
get all three of them by doing the first and last thing.
No,
Okay.
no. Yes, ma'am.
Can you briefly say what digital ice is?
Oh, digital ice. Thanks for bringing that up. So digital ice is full of sugar and it'll just mess you up. No. Digital ice is a great little checkbox in the scanner software, like it's a filter. It's a filter. Digital ice is perfect for your slides, your 35 millimeter slides and negatives. It doesn't do so great with some slides, I've noticed. But it's great for negatives because, man, I don't know if you've ever looked yet, been able to see, but those negatives and slides at 35 millimeter pick up a lot of dust and scratches. And you'll be working for years cleaning those things up. Digital ice gets rid of most of it. It does a fantastic job keeping detail, pores in the skin, and details in the shadows. It's a wonderful little filter. But it does take work. Sometimes you have to experiment, okay? Don't just think, I'm gonna scan 100 pictures with digital ice because Eric says it's good. No, you should scan and look at these things, examine them, and make sure you're not losing, because sometimes when it doesn't work, it messes up your mid-tone range, your gray areas, or the in-between light and dark areas. Yes, sir, in the back.
I'll make you shudder here a little bit.
Hold on, before you make me shudder, before everyone else leaves, because they don't want to see this horrible scene. If you can't get me with questions now, I'm at a booth 221. I'll be there till about 3 o'clock. Please stop by. Please join my email list so that you can get a monthly tips and information on working on your pictures. And I have a couple students here who actually purchased the course who know, and they know about what I'm doing, so you can talk with them. So go ahead. I'm ready.
Okay. I see.
Thank you. Thank you.
I see this for, shall I say, home and office, but you're in the library with just you and your laptop. Can you give me pros and cons of the hand scanners?
Like the Flip Pal. Give you a pros and cons of the Flip Pal, or oh, the hand scanners. Like it's like a pen, like the wand. You know, without working with one, I can't give you the pros and cons. I'm sorry, but I would say to you, I've given you some knowledge so you can discern if it's doing you justice, and that is the wand scanner while you're in the library scanning some important records? Is it giving you the choice of a TIFF or a JPEG? Is it giving you files that are at, 300, 600, 1200 resolution, right?
We use one quite a bit. We use the iris scan, and it does not let you save anything other than JPEG. It gives you a choice of 300 or 600, and if you pull at a steady rate, it does a pretty good job.
Okay, so here we have someone that says they got an iris scan wand, and he can put it at 600 PPI, and it gives him, he's stuck with a JPEG, but if that's the best you can do, that's pretty good.
It's great for getting in bound newspapers and getting up against the gutter.
And getting up against the gutter of the paper or a book, because they put the newspapers in a book, right? They bind it. So you need to because if you put it on here, you're going to lose detail in there on the flatbed. Yes, ma'am.
I have one of those. I haven't really used it yet, but in the instructions, and it reads an 8.5 or the 14.
There you go.
Yes, that kind of thing. But it says if the book is tight and there's a curve, go from the seam of the book, from the binding out. Don't scan from the top down.
Great tip. So if you have your Iris Wand scanner or other brand, be sure you start in the binding where the curve is and then go across to the outside of the page.
And the reason for that is there's a gap this wide on the end, so that's as close as you can get. It's only this far from the edge.
Wow. Wow.
Hey, can I offer one more thing?
Sure, please, go ahead.
On this JPEG saving thing, if you use Windows and do a rotate, it saves it again. You're losing a layer right there.
Geez.
We didn't know that, just found out. So there's a couple of programs that will do lossless JPEG rotation, but Windows does not.
You know, and that makes sense to me though, because how is it gonna save your document as being rotated?
IrfanView can do it. It's a lossless JPEG rotation.
Don't IrfanView, but still, for folks that might be a little intimidated about that, just do all your work, edit all your pictures with Elements, PaintShop Pro, Photoshop, GIMP, ACDC, whatever you use, Picasa, and save it as a TIFF. Don't resave the JPEG. Yes, ma'am.
What about photos you take with a digital camera? Is there any way to convert those from a JPEG to a TIFF?
All right, so I'm taking pictures with my digital camera, and it just gives me the choice of JPEG. Doesn't give me the choice of RAW, which would be the other format that I'd say go for. If I'm stuck with JPEG, I'm stuck with it.
There's no way to go from JPEG to TIFF.
Well, you can save it as a TIFF, but don't panic unless you're going to be working on it.
Okay.
You understand? So you download those to your computer after you're done shooting, open them up, look at them, share them, upload them. But if you want to work on them and save as a TIFF. Got it? Say that, what?
Change it. You'll have both.
From a JPEG to a TIFF.
Yeah, change it from JPEG to a TIFF if you're going to work on it. Otherwise, it's what you have.
And that includes rotating, cropping?
Yeah, yeah. Everything. Every change you make, like I said, every change you make, you go to TIFF. Yes, sir.
My camera gives me JPEG, and first thing I do is bring them in, card, and then I go to Elements. It's got that process multiple files. Click on that, and just convert them all right there to TIFF.
And what do you use to process it?
It's Elements.
Elements, great, yeah.
Multiple files. Process multiple files.
Elements has a neat thing called process multiple files. I'm glad you brought that up because I mentioned that here and I'm late, but there's no other speaker coming after me. So I just want to show you something real quick. It's really cool. Have you tried file naming? So sometimes, let's say you have files and you're like, you know what? All my pictures say Untitled 1, Untitled 2, Untitled 3, right? And you're like, I actually need these specific groups of pictures to say, 1960s or whatever family name, and then a serial number. So what you do is you make a folder of them, and then you tell it, okay, browse, find the folder. Nah, I'll just take this one. All right? And then give it a destination if you want, or make it same as source and it will rewrite it. And then you choose rename. And then you put in family name and 3-digit serial number. And look at that. It gives you an example. Family name. The new file name is going to go from Untitled 1 to family name 001. Get it? So this is really cool that they have in Elements.
And it'll change it from a JPEG to
Where's the drop down to change it from JPEG to?
Well, that would be under Process Files. Right? Where am I? Right here. Check this box. Convert file type to, come on, TIFF.
Perfect.
Got it? But please don't go nuts trying to convert all your camera pictures. Like I said, it's just if you want to work on it. That's it. That's it. And any other questions, bring them up. Enjoy your lunch. Thanks for coming to the conference. You're wonderful. Stop by the booth. Join the email list.
I have a question here.
Yeah.
I have an 1872 family Bible that I want to scan the statistics, family.
No problem. And my World War II plane.
Can I have that picture?
Pardon? This
Can
one?
I have that picture from?
Sure.
I love that picture.
Where did it go?
It's somewhere in here. It's right here.
Yeah.
Right here. Thank you. And then,
thank you.
Thank you very much for the picture. Yeah, and it slides in there.
So 1872 family Bible pages. How do I can't put it on a flatbed scanner.
Right.
What do I need?
Oh no, you can't.
You can't take the pictures out
Oh no.
of the book.
It's pages with handwriting on it. The pages are
And you
crumbling.
don't want to put it on the scanner?
No, I can hardly even lift these pages to even turn the pages. They're so fragile.
So you got to do a copy shot. with a camera. And you gotta have it on a tripod, and it's gotta be something, a good camera that can give you a raw file.
So I need a professional.
That's the actual.
Well, a professional camera, or a professional person.
Restoration.
Well, you know, if you want, yeah. I mean, or a professional photographer, you can go to the studio and say, look, they'll do it for you.
Okay.
Go to any studio in town,
Okay.
and as long as they're a good photographer, they'll
Right.
know they gotta get in there and they'll light it. You know what I mean? Tell them,
I know
I want a
person.
copy shop. Can you do that for me?
Okay. Copy shop.
I need high resolution files. I need big files of these pictures.
Okay.
And they'll, you shop around,
Okay.
get prices.
Okay.
I say talk with a photographer.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Enjoyed it.
Thank you.
I knew before that TIFF was the right format, but my husband always argues and says bitmap. And why would anybody?
He's right. Bitmap is fine, but
Is it more for documents?
No, it's bitmap file format. He wants to save it as a bitmap.
Yeah.
It's fine. Because bitmap is kind of like a competitor with TIFF, sort of.
Okay, so they're
But
approximately
the same
this.
thing. They're the same. And bitmap is really a Windows thing. TIFF is a printer thing that was generally Mac. Now it's everybody.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that explains it. Thank you.
Sure. Tell your husband he's right, and you're right too. Yeah. Tell him I said so.
I have a microtech, and it gives you numbers for your screen, you know, like 100, 150. What is better? What do you, how do you?
The higher the screen, the LPI, that means the higher quality the file.
How'd it go?
It went well. Great. I sounded great.
You did.
I think
I'm only
I did.
partially.
You are.
So I just set it at the top level. I mean, for archival work, this is a library.
Think of the quality of paper. Think of it that way. If it's like a fine art print, high LPI, the higher number, 175.
Okay.
If it's a magazine, you can go 133. If it's this toilet paper, 85.
Okay.
Because you'll get a little more detail. You follow me?
I never knew what to.
Yeah.
It said descreen, but it's the number. I never knew where it was. Good.
Yeah, and if you don't remember, you can ask me. Give me a call or email. Yeah. And I'll take care. Yeah, come on.
Clarify, when you were selecting those three different pictures to scan, you changed the scale on each of them. How do you decide what scale to choose?
Well, you think about how big you would want it. It's like a Xerox copy. You know how you enlarge things?
Right.
Think of it like that. You're like,
I don't even know if my lid comes off.
yeah.
We were asking that. What about
Slides go here. Slides go here.
Oh, okay.
What you do is
See, yeah, that's the
go
setup we have.
something here. No, here. Oh, food.
If we come over to
I
your
don't do
booth,
it enough.
could you show us how to do it?
Yeah, I'll go over it.
Yeah, but that may put them in the bad area of the scanner, doesn't it? Yeah.
No, because it's reading it here.
Oh.
As soon as we come to the booth, we'll.
Okay.
I've got another one, and
That's all set up for
I
you?
hardly use it. I hardly use this thing. So, but I'll show
A lot
you.
of us have got slides, and I wish you could have
I'll show
shown
you.
that, but we thought we'd come over to your booth and we
I'm
could see it
sorry.
over
Well,
there.
I'm really sorry about that.
You only have so much time.
Can,
And it's a popular subject.
We're gonna come over to your booth after lunch.
please do. Please do. Please do.
Will you be there?
And I'll show you.
Great.
Will you be there at 3:30 when the exhibit thing closes?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm thinking at 3:30.
you
I'll
over
probably
there
start. 3. I'll probably start to pack.
Okay.
Scale.
Scale. Yeah. So you know, just.
So if I have a tiny, tiny picture, I was thinking, well, I need to set the resolution higher, right? Does that go
okay.
with that? And then how does scale compare, or what does that have to do
It
with it?
depends on your thinking process. Me, I like to keep it simple, so I go 300. But then if I'm looking at this small thing, I say, well, I want that scale to be, let's say it's 1 inch by 1 inch. I want to be able to print it maybe on a 4x6 print. So I'm going to go 400%.
For scale.
4 times 1. If it's 1 times, so if it's 1 inch, and I'm thinking, I want to be able to get a nice small print. I mean, I'm not going to get an 8x10 from it and look good.
Right.
But a little on a 4x6 print, I'm thinking 4 inches I need it to be. So I'm going to go 4 times 1, 400%. That's what I'm going to think.
Okay, but
if it's an
still
8x10 and I think it might be a 16x20, that would be what? There'd be 200%. So I'd at 300. That's how other people may say, well, I just want to do it 100%, 600. But then you got to know what you're doing when you work on it in Photoshop, because it might print out at 8 by 10.
Okay.
Even though you wanted it 16 by 20.
So, follow-on related question. I get that my resolution for slides should probably be 1200, the maximum my scanner can do. But if I'm going to want to be making, say, 5 by 7 prints of my slides, I'm probably going to want to go, what's that? I don't know, 4x maybe, or 6x?
No, you always do your slides at the max. Always.
Max resolution, but
Yeah.
what about magnificate the scale?
Well, the scale,
If I then want to
it
print
might show up and make that. It depends on the software, but if you have, for example, your slide is actually 1 inch, 1.5 inches or wide, right? And you look at it on screen, and you say, wow, that's 1.5 inches wide. It's 1.5 inches wide. And you go to image size, and you see that the resolution is 1600 or 3200. Well, you can resize it right there to interpolate it easily so that it will be 300 at 12 inches wide. All you're doing is translating it to the other language.
Okay.
You're going from resolution to dimensions, and dimensions to resolution. As long as you have that checked. In my course, I actually have a whole exercise just on that kind of thing.
So the scale is the dimensions, the
Scales the dimensions.
All right, so then maybe I just scan it 1200 DPI or whatever my scanner's max resolution is, 100%, and then if I want to make myself a 5 by 7 print or whatever, I mess around with it in Elements in terms of the scale.
If you want, look right here. Look at this. And y'all can come around and look if you want to. But image size. You see 4.5 or 4.25 by 4, whatever this is.
Mm-hmm.
So I make sure resample is not checked.
Mm-hmm.
I need this
1, 2,
to be twice as wide. Now, I actually want it to be 8 inches wide at least. The minimum you can print without it showing being pixelated is 150. So I changed the resolution to 150, and look what happens to this, to the dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You see what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Okay.
Because I have resample image unchecked. Now, if I do this, this is the way it started. Now, if I do resample image and I tell it, give me 8 inches wide, it increases the size to 14 megabytes from 4. It's gonna fake it to make it bigger.
Okay.
There's no need to do that if you have high resolution. Let me just show you one more example. Let's say we have our 2 by 1.5 negative, and we scanned it at 1800. I'm almost done. Hang on.
No, we're good.
Hang on. Right. Come on. Hit OK. Right, I'm doing something wrong. Okay, there it goes. All right, now, let's pretend that's an image.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
That's my negative or slide, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I go to image resize, image size. And now, this is exactly what you would have, what you're telling me.
Mm-hmm.
All I do is go 300. Look what happens to the width and the height.
Okay.
12 by 9.
It's now just spread it out.
No. It's just translated it to dimensions.
Okay.
If you do spread out, that means it's bigger. It's changed it. You know what I mean?
I'm with you. Yeah, sorry.
So I want you to think of it as a translation.
Okay.
Not so much taking stuff out or moving stuff in. You know?
Okay.
All right?